Live from Claris Engage, it's FM Training TV. And now your host, Richard Carlton.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another awesome live stream from FM Training TV. We are at Claris Engage 2025, I think is the year this year. All right, great. And I got David Ramsey with me. David's been on the show before. He's been a guest speaker. We've talked a number of times about various different topics. And he's here today to show us a free tool and then talk about his larger product, which is FMPerception, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So what are we doing today? It's FMLayoutLens.
Yeah.
And I've seen some things on your computer that look like crazy 3D things. So what is FMLayoutLens and why does it matter to a developer?
So for any old hands in the FileMaker community, they might remember FM X-Ray Specs, which was an app I wrote a long time ago that eats the clipboard XML for layout objects and spits out a bunch of metadata about them. And we decided that we could do something a little more interesting with some of our more modern technologies. So we built FMLayoutLens. So we've got a FileMaker layout. I can go into layout mode and just select all and copy. And then I come over to FMLayoutLens and paste. That's all it takes. No DDR, no save a copy as XML.
So FMLayoutLens is an actual app.
Yes.
It's not like a FileMaker database.
It is not a FileMaker database.
Okay.
This is, it's a native C# backend with an HTML, JavaScript, CSS UI.
Wow.
Completely cross-platform across Mac and Windows.
Oh, so Mac and Windows both too?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Wow. So what am I looking at here? What am I seeing? This looks like the layout that we just had. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So on the left side here, we have FileMaker's tree view patterned exactly after theirs. We can select an object, and this kind of refocuses on that object. We get an inspector here. I'll come back to this one in a minute. Let me resize that region out. So we've got inspector data, various properties, settings. If you want to see the conditional formatting rules, stuff like that, we can expand and see kind of all the properties at once, all the different inspector properties and settings in FileMaker on one screen. So where this gets really interesting is that we're not just rendering this, we're rendering this as a 3D exploded diagram of the layout's hierarchical structure.
Okay, so this is blowing my mind. This is amazing. So I guess it helps you wrap your head around the layers that you have on your layout, especially if you have like tab panels and things like that.
Is this object contained by this other object, or is it actually floating off by itself? You'll also see things like if this tab panel, when it gets bigger, would have a field displayed, you'll actually see that field here. We don't hide it because the tab panel is too small. We show it to you, but it will be floating beyond the bounds of the tab panel.
Wow. Okay.
If you want to see how this is going to react to resizing the window, we have this little bounds button here, and I can click this, and it will do a resize.
Okay.
Okay, we're actually changing the size of the layout as we do this, and you're seeing how things expand, where they move, etc. So other places that are fun are things like, if you're looking for someone on this layout is editing this field, but I have that field locked down everywhere, don't I? Well, when you've got a big complex layout with lots of tabs and popover regions and things like that, there could be a copy of that field that doesn't have entry turned off. And so I want to just be able to see where is all the places that this particular field occurs. Sort by field name. You can see all those spots where fields have you option dragged fields to create copies, but there was a value list assigned to it. So now you've got that value list assigned to 30 different objects on this layout, and I want to see that quickly. This is the kind of stuff that FMPerception will show you but it requires a full DDR.
Okay. Okay.
Labels, the object name. So just quickly, I'm working on a system. I need to find out what objects on this layout are addressable. So I copy the layout, paste it into FMLayoutLens,
That right
sort
there
by
is,
object name.
that right there is worth its weight of admission right there.
Yeah.
So Margaret, you follow this conversation here. So if you have a bunch of objects on the layout, which of the objects in the layout have been given an explicit name, right?
Bounds, this is kind of helpful when you're looking for things that are 1 pixel off or something like that. So which of these are FileMaker's new layout calculations? Which objects have conditional formatting applied?
This has got a lot of neat stuff in it. This is neat.
Which objects have hide conditions applied? Script triggers, tooltips, placeholder text. So lots of data here that you can see. Which of these have local CSS styles, enterable in browse mode, find mode, available to quick find.
We just did a bunch of training for brand new FileMaker developers, and this would have been handy and very interesting because we're teaching them about triggers and about hidden conditions and conditional formatting, and having a place to list it all like this is phenomenal. I love this.
You can set it to auto shift to whatever item you've selected, or we can kind of zoom out, set it to manual, and clicking on objects does not recenter it. So it can be a little easier to click down through 10 objects and see them real quickly if it's not shifting every time you click.
Well, this is amazing. So this is totally free. But you're also the author of FMPerception, which does this kind of stuff as a developer feedback kind of information about your solution, right? So how does this fit in? So if this is free, kind of like a light application, but has a lot of value here.
Yeah.
But if people want to get more value, FMPerception, where's that fit in here with this?
When we use FMLayoutLens, all we have access to is what's in the clipboard when the layout objects are copied. Okay. So if I have 2 fields with the exact same name that are referenced through 2 different table occurrences, I can't tell if they're the same table. I don't have access to the relationship graph with this. I don't have access to, I know what script a button calls, but I don't know anything about what that script does. I can't find that from here. This just has the information that's in that layout clipboard. So if I need more, I can go to FMPerception and drill into a particular layout. Let's find one with a lot of objects on it. And here's 660 layout objects that can tell me things like, okay, these are unstored calculations that are placed on the layout. So it's got to be able to go from the layout object field through the table or through the relationship graph to the field definition and then determine whether that is unstored.
Wow. Okay.
How many relational steps does it take to place this field on this layout? If that number is 1 or 2, okay, that's fine. If it's 30, I got a problem.
Or even 4, 5, 6, Margaret. Remember we talked about how many hops that we start getting real nervous about performance? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is a phenomenal tool. So the FMLayoutLens is almost like a light version of your FMPerception tool a little bit. I mean, it's graphical, but it's showing kind of a lightweight level of, I don't know, developer knowledge or developer information.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a teaser, and it's got useful information in it. It doesn't have access to everything.
No,
but it has access to enough that we felt it was useful to the community, and we just wanted to get it out there and let everybody play with it. But when they need more power, more visibility, more depth to the data that they're getting, we hope they'll take a look at FMPerception.
Oh, I agree. You've been on the show before. It's a fantastic product. Can you show us the website real quick? So if we want take a look at the FMLayoutLens, this is it. This website right here.
FMLayoutLens.com.
Okay.
We'll get you there.
And then if you're interested in more of the full tool, shall we say, of the FM Perception, there we go, FMPerception.com. Yeah, and the interesting part about this is that it gets the data real time, right? It's not, you don't have to run a DDR. Or do you need to run a DDR on this one?
On FMPerception or FMLayoutLens?
The FM Perception.
FMPerception does require a DDR,
Okay.
but it opens the DDR faster than FileMaker exports it. So the slowest part of the process is exporting the XML, not opening it in FMPerception. So, for example, here's FMPerception. This is one of my test files that I use a lot in demos, is a version of FM Starting Point.
Ah, okay.
Open it up. That's the import process.
Oh, wow.
That's what it takes to open the DDR. It's actually faster to export the XML and open it in FMPerception than it is to export the HTML DDR, because FileMaker exports the XML and then runs it through XSLT to turn it into the HTML. And FMPerception is faster than that conversion process.
So this is a great developer tool for those of you out there who are, building solutions. You're making more sophisticated solutions. You're having a hard time keeping track of all the elements on a layout, right? There's various tools and techniques, but I think if you use a tool like this, FMPerception, you're going to save yourself some time. And I mean, people say, well, I don't know how much it is, but what is your time worth, right? So if your time has any value, then you may want to, invest in a tool that's going to make that simpler. Margaret, questions?
Nope. This is something I could see myself using. I actually have a couple layouts that I fight with regularly in mind that really benefit from the three-dimensional view. So when I stack about 10 slide controls on top of each other, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
All right. Well, excellent information. We greatly appreciate it. So this is Dave Ramsey, right? Did I get that correct? And so Proofgeist, and so it's FMLayoutLens and FMPerception. So thank you for coming by. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.